Next is Wong. This is a pretty long question, but I read through it already, guys. I'm not going to read line for line through here. I'm just going to answer it. You guys all have access to the event page. You can read it yourself. But Wong, what I want to tell you right off the bat is don't ever try to deceive. When you set up lead gen properties, be honest about what the purpose of the site is. I don't lie, period, guys, to prospects or contractors, service providers, none of that, because it will bite you in the ass. Period. At some point, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. So just don't do it. Don't lie. Be honest. So when you're approaching a potential service provider that you want to sell leads to, then just be honest right off the bat. Say, look, I run. You can say I'm run a marketing business or whatever, or I'm studying marketing or whatever you want, and say I've got this site that I built, and it's generating leads. It's a site that I built that's in your industry. It's in your town. It's in your, whatever. It's generating leads for these keywords, or for people looking for your services. You don't want to say generating leads for these keywords, because that a contractor or service provider don't give a shit about any of that. All they care about is whether or not, if you've got leads or not, period. And just say, I've got leads coming in from a website that I built that's generating phone calls, and I need somebody to service these leads. I'm a marketer. I set this up as a test or a case study, and now I've got these leads. I need somebody to service them. Are you interested? And just like I said at the beginning of a few moments ago when I was talking about Bill Good's book, Hot Prospects, when you start contacting, the trick here is there's a few variables for your campaign, right? Your prospecting campaign, there's variables, right? One of which would be your list itself. So who are you prospecting to, right? So, I'm sure if it's a lead gen site that's ranked for a handful of keywords in a particular city, you're going to have a limited list of people that you can actually contact for that. But first, make sure you've got a good list or a list that's highly targeted, so people that would be specifically looking, and try to get a comprehensive list if possible. I like to hire a virtual assistant to scrape contacts or leads for a prospecting campaign. However, I'm just recently started using Lead Kahuna again, because it's David Sprague just updated to the version 4.0, and it's actually working really, really well. So, there's plenty of scraping tools out there that you can use. But the second variable would be your, what your script is, or what your dialogue is when you're pitching or talking to them. And number one, like I said, don't lie, or I don't ever recommend that. Just be honest. And during that period, when you get past the gatekeeper and you're talking to the owner and you start to be honest, if they're unhappy with it, or as you say, you didn't find much success. So what? Find somebody else. Go to the next person on the list. And you'll get better at this as you continue to prospect. The reason why I like to do video email or emails, but with a specifically video emails, they tend to work better as far as getting a response. But the reason why I like to use that process is because with email tracking, I can see when anybody opens the email. So I can get notified via email and or text when somebody opens an email. And then I can also set up notifications with my email tracking to where if somebody clicks a link within the email, it will notify me, hey, not only did they open the email, but they also clicked a link. It will show me the duration, how long they had the email open. It'll show me if they forwarded it. It will show me how many times they opened it. So it gives me all these analytics so that I can do cold emailing to a list of, let's say, 100 prospects, and I can see that out of the 100 emails, 32 of them got opened, and out of 32 of them, 8 people clicked the link, which means they went to and saw my video where I explain what I've got. And then out of those, sometimes you'll see people forward it to like 2 other people in their same company with the same, root email address or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So why I like to use video email, guys, or emails, period, is because I can see activity level based upon analytics that tell me who's the most interested, so that when I go to make that phone call, it's not a cold call, it's a warm call. They already know who I am, they know what I have to offer, and because of the engagement that I saw through the email analytics, I know that they were interested whether they say so or not. And so that then I don't like cold calling, period, guys. I freaking hate it. So if I'm going to call, I want to know that there was at least a level of interest in my offer, and I can do that with email. And I know you can't do that here, so you're going to be have a tougher job ahead of you, Wong. But again, I wouldn't lie. Be honest. Go through the list. You'll get better at your pitch when you start talking to them through practice and repetition. That's really the only thing I can recommend. If anybody else has a suggestion, I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, I would add, don't sell. Don't go in with the mindset, I am going to sell this guy something, because, I mean, that's what everybody else does. They hear this all day, every day. They get emails. You kind of have to set yourself apart. Now, if you're past the gatekeeper and you're talking to the guy, the way that, or to the lady, whoever it is that your prospect is, the only way that you're going to sell this person is if this person likes you. So the one thing that I recommend to everyone when I do consultation for this is you have to work on likability. Mm-hmm. How likable are you on the phone or in person when you're addressing the person? How comfortable are you? Are you making them feel comfortable? Because you can see it in their body language, or you can hear it in their tone on the telephone. And so forget selling, forget that you're selling these, forget all that, and work on reaching this person at a personal level where there's some interaction, there's some likability, and you're more likely to get your message across once that person has opened up than if you just say, hey, I got some leads that I want to sell to you, which doesn't work.
Yep. Anyone else, guys?
I think you guys nailed it pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Roman.
I think Marco hit that one really well. There is, the person has to like you. You can have the best offer in the world, presenting them, but if they don't like you, they're not going to buy.
It's rapport.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's ridiculously important. The other thing is also making sure that you're speaking the language of the business owner, the words that you're using. At some point,
vocabulary, you mean?
Exactly. So, when you're talking to a business owner, what do they care about? They care about their bottom line. They care about their ROI. They care about how much money they're making. So those are the things when you're developing your pitch, or what you're talking with the client, you need to be thinking about that as well.
Yeah. And the last part of that is, as far as developing rapport, that's part of the reason why I like using video email, again, guys, is because if they open the email and then they click through the video, they get to meet me, so to speak, right? They get to know who I am, because I will typically do a screencast video where I'm explaining, it depends. I've done many different ways, but I've done screencast videos where I might do like a site audit or something, or I'll do like a VSL, video sales letter, where it's just text across the screen and I'm reading it. Sometimes I'll do that with a combination of the video, like the webcam, with the webcam showing in the lower corner of the video or something like that, so that they get a chance to meet me. I've also done just like headshots, talking heads, where I'm talking into the camera. And I've had different success levels with different methods, but again, it's about testing. And like Hernan just said, likability and rapport is important. And that's why I like using the video email, because you kind of build rapport even through a video, because they kind of get to know you a little bit. So when you do call, it's not a straight cold call. It's more of a warm call. And so I get better results that way. So, and again, I know Wong doesn't really have much of that option, but that's for everybody else. All right. The second part is this: do you offer a free amount of leads to the client before start charging them? Yes, I've done that many times. Because a lot of the times people don't think it's real until you can provide them with results. And so I'll send them, 3 leads, 4 leads. It depends on what the leads are. Obviously, real high dollar stuff, I wouldn't send them more than 1 or 2. But oftentimes for like stuff that has smaller margins, I might send them 3 to 5 leads. And I like to send them in real time. Like, in other words, I don't like to send them leads. Like if I've had phone calls over the last week and I've accrued 3 or 4 or 5 leads in the last week, I don't like to send them those, because those are stale leads at that point. What I like to do is, once I've got the agreement that they're cool with me sending them a few leads, from that point forward, any new lead that comes in I'll send to them up until the number that I promised, if that makes sense. And then always follow up with them on the leads that you send them. If you're going to send them a free lead, follow up with them after sending it to them, like within an hour or 2 hours, or depending on what the sales cycle is for that particular type of business. But you want to follow up with them shortly after sending them a lead to find out if they followed up with the lead. Because if they're not following up with the lead, then there's no reason for you to continue talking to them or sending them any other leads. Does that make sense? So if you're going to send free leads, guys, it's really important to follow up on it to make sure that they got it. Number one, number two, that they're following up on the leads, so that's what will sell them, by the way. Because if you can tell them that, if you're following up and you find out like, hey, did you follow up that lead? Yeah, we did. And we actually got the job and blah, blah, blah. Or we scheduled an estimate, that kind of stuff. You can say, hey, look, I've got another one coming. I'll send you one more or two more or whatever. And then we'll talk about compensation if it's a good fit going forward. So.